Okay, so I've got my image transferred, and now comes the fun part. This is the part where you get to carve and start cutting away. So I have this kind of nice little tool. It's a speedball linoleum block cutting or wood block cutting tool. These are cool because they come with their own little set of blades and a storage. So you can just untwist the back end, and you've got all your nice little blades. There's different types for thin little grooves, thick grooves. There should be one like this where it's good for like edging around things. So you need to kind of first of all pick out, what blade you're going to use, and think about with your image what you're going to carve away. So I did that already. I'm just going to put the little back end back on. So with this, I want the sharp end out, and you'll see in here that there's like a little U-shaped hole. I'm going to stick this into that little U-shaped hole, and I have to kind of loosen it so that I can stick it down in, and then tighten it so that it doesn't pop out. And I should be able to pull on it without it popping out. If you can pull on it and it pops out, try it again. But you can see there's like a little, it's just a compression little screw, so you're just kind of keeping it there under pressure. Okay, so I've got my tool already, and now with my image I want to think about what I'm going to do, because the big thing here is you're cutting away the white. And if you're new to printmaking, especially relief printing, keep telling yourself this over and over again. What you leave on the surface will be black, what you cut away will be white. So it's the opposite of how you normally work. Normally when we draw, we have the positive image, the black, and we would erase away the white. It's just the opposite here. So what surface I leave will be the actual color of my image, and what surface I take away will be the highlight or the brightness or the white space. Okay, so I've already decided I want the horizon, the kind of the sky back here, to come out. You can feel free too. Sometimes I actually, like here, I colored in with my carbon paper. I could go back here and kind of just with my pen say, oh, I want this to be a dark thing so that I don't accidentally take that away. Little notes for yourself can be good, because once you carve it away, there's no really bringing it back. Okay, so I'm going to start here. I'm also thinking about line direction. So plan it out, and you can plan little bits as you go, but I already decided I want the horizon to be kind of still and to be contrasted against the motion of the water. So I want just these smooth lines going across. I'm actually going to rotate my image sideways because it will be easiest to cut in this direction. And notice here I have my two hands, right? As I'm cutting, I don't have anything in front of this sharp blade. I never ever rest my hand and cut like this, especially my wrist, and cut like this. If I were sitting next to you and I watched you do that, I would yell at you over and over until you don't forget. I've had umpteen students accidentally cut their finger, or, usually not badly, just a little bit of little slicing. I'm not a big blood person, so don't do that, please. So think about all the time where this hand is. A lot of times I actually rest my arm at sort of an awkward angle down here or on the bottom edge so that I know it's not in the way. You can even build yourself blocks, like a wood block, or push against something. I could actually push up against my camera so that it doesn't move on me, but I could have something here that I'm pushing against. It depends on how much pressure you're going to use. It's not hard to cut this, so I don't really need a lot of pressure. So I can just kind of be careful as I'm cutting, but again, checking where my arm is. My plan is to start carving this area away. So I'm going to just start on the edge and go nice and slow and push little lines. Okay, nice and slow. I don't have to go super deep. And I want just nice, even lines. Okay, and I will show you a little closer here so that you can see. I zoom in, how I've carved away. My camera's having trouble getting that close. How I've carved away these little edges. Okay, there. That's probably a good angle, but you can kind of see that there's little lines away, and it actually pulls away some of this material as well. If I shade it, you can probably see a little bit too. But I'm carving this little bit away. So it's up to you. I could decide to take huge, thick pieces away and use a thicker carving tool. You can see that I've got more of a V groove as opposed to a square groove. Depends on what you want to do. I like prints with lots of interesting textures. I like prints with actually, I really enjoy the carving process, so I have fun carving lines. You need to be kind of slow and kind of deliberate about it, but I think it's very satisfying to carve this away. So I can just kind of keep in my areas doing nice, slow, even grooves. I don't need to cut very deep, but remember, you can always come back and cut more. So if you decide that, oh, when you print, it's not quite as dark or as many lines as you want, you could come back and carve more. That would be just fine. You know, as you're kind of getting your artist proofs going, as you're getting your test prints going, you can keep coming back and getting more. This stuff, you can just kind of throw away when you're done, clean that up. And that's basically how you do it. If I had a large area that I wanted to carve within, sometimes it's easier to use like this blade and edge something first, so I might just push straight down around those edges. I don't tend to do a lot of outlining myself, but when you make an edge, then you can kind of carve to it. The other thing is, I've got some of these really thin lines. Really super thin can be hard to print. So I tend to go for a little bit thicker. So I will probably make the artistic choice here to make this a little bit thicker. So I decided for this side, that I want that white as well. I double checked that this is dark and this is dark. I am going to outline this a little bit because it'll be easier for me to not make a mistake and not accidentally cut over into my post here. Notice, even as I'm outlining, where is my extra hand? My extra hand is back here. Okay, so now that I've got sort of this edge, I can again do my very slow, kind of deliberate lines where I'm pushing through and making sure to stop when I get to the other side. I actually do a sort of uplift motion to stop my line. And again, I'm not doing a lot of pressure. I don't want to somehow lift it up and jab myself. I'm just doing that nice, kind of even, gentle pressure. I prepared another area here. Again, I want to be really careful to not cut into my post. I'm still using that thin kind of V groove to keep my line thickness the same as I'm working through my horizon. So I'm going to just push down at the edge of one post, go to the end, and then kind of lift up to stop my line. Again, kind of pushing and lifting up. Remember to always keep track of where your hand is, both hands, and enjoy this because this is the fun part. So I've cut a little bit more on this so that you could see how I've got more lines. I want to work down in this area down in here. And because it's getting tighter and smaller, I'm going to get my lines, I want them thinner because this is really getting too thick. So I want my really kind of tiny, narrow V-groove. I'm going to use that little one. So we're just going to go back to what we did at the beginning, unscrew and kind of wiggle out. And sometimes you got to sort of wiggle to get that out. Put in my other blade. Tighten that. I always check that now if I wiggle and pull it doesn't come out. And I can figure out, and I always keep stopping and pausing. So here I outlined this area, but I need to do some cuts across it. Again, I'm checking where my hands are. And I'm going to keep doing those regular sort of rows. That one didn't come out. With the little sort of lift at the end. And it's just a lift up. You know, I'm not doing anything toward my eyes. So that I can kind of work my way down. Some of these eventually are probably going to get to be where they're just like areas of brightness with not a lot as far as lines. See there how I moved my hand? I was cutting sideways. I keep kind of rotating my block as I need to. And I'll cut a couple lines across to get that edge. Keep kind of checking. So here's going to be a place where I just kind of have almost a line down to my horizon. And here I want my very little center piece kind of gouged out of there. Sometimes I do this sort of roll and push. So I roll the blade and just kind of push down to cut because the blade is sharp enough that I can actually just push to make an indentation to get a nice little groove. Okay, so you can go ahead and continue on with that. I was going to show you one little thing. If I go back to that carbon or the charcoal block that I have, I can actually go through and I can darken my image a little bit and kind of see what I've got and what I've carved away. Sometimes it helps you see what kind of lines you're getting better. You could do that with ink too. The ink to me is just more to get out right now, so I'm just going to use my charcoal so that I can kind of darken and see what is my line going to look like. And again, until you do your actual edition, you can keep adjusting. You can keep running artist proofs to get a sense of what you've got and if you like it or if you need to cut more away. I'm thinking that this I might need to cut a little more away because it might read in my final image as a solid block when I don't want it to. All right, go ahead and continue, and you can go to the next video when you're ready to print.